Look, it's no secret that students weep hot tears of indignation when they hear those dreaded letters DBQ. But they have no idea how many of us teachers have a proper cry over trying to teach the DBQ. This essay is complex and difficult all the way down, and if you've ever struggled to teach this essay, then you are in the right place and you are in good company. In this video, I'm going to show you an activity that I think is the best way to help your students really learn the guts of a DBQ and how to understand its working. Now, for me and a lot of other teachers I know, there was a very clear moment when we passed from dreading the day we introduced the DBQ to feeling confident that we knew what we were doing, and the watershed event was going to the national reading and scoring hundreds of the same DBQ for 8 hours a day, 7 days straight. Now, I am in no way affiliated with the College Board and earn precisely $0 in sponsorship money from them, so what I'm about to say is very much my own opinion. The AP reading is one of the best things you can do to feel proficient and confident in your ability to teach the DBQ. I still remember the school year after my first reading. When I introduced the DBQ, all of a sudden I felt like, I have some authority because I understood the thing. And it wasn't until the next year that I started thinking, that experience was so helpful for me, I wonder if I could replicate it on a small scale for my students. And spoiler alert, yeah, that's what I did. I created a mini AP reading for my students modeled after the national reading, and that worked wonders in helping my students understand this daunting essay. Now, you can find a lesson plan linked in the description that outlines the procedure for a 2-day reading simulation. This actually comes from my AP World History Teacher Resource Pack, which is also linked below, but it is not AP World specific. You can use it on any class that has a DBQ. So what I'd like to do is just walk you through what a class might look like if you did this. As a side note, what I'm about to show you is a great way to teach content through skills. Like, so often teachers are torn whether to teach the content of the course or the skills of the course on any particular day. And here's a way to do both simultaneously. So first things first, I would not do this activity as a way to introduce the DBQ. I do this activity after they've already completed their first DBQ. Like, to me, they need some experience struggling to write this thing before the reading simulation will yield the most fruit. Now, of course, you'll have to look through the released DBQs ahead of time so that you can find the one that correlates with the topic you want to cover, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. But now let's get to the simulation. So before they come in, they need to have some grasp of the content that the DBQ will cover. So maybe that means that they've come in having done some reading the night before, maybe you've given them a lecture on the topic or whatever. So they come to class knowing at least the broad contours of the topic. So then you need to go to the College Board website and find the DBQ that you're going to have them score. Just type AP World past FRQs or substitute APUSH or AP Euro, and that will bring you to a page like this. And here's where the magic happens. If you click here, you'll find the DBQ for that year. And then you click here and you'll get an actual rubric and scoring commentary that was handed to the readers for that year's national reading. It tells you the requirements for earning the points, and it gives examples of writing that earns each point and examples that do not earn each point. And I cannot emphasize this enough. This is so helpful to see. It doesn't make the DBQ any easier for your students, but it certainly makes it more clear to them. Anyway, then go ahead and click over here and get the sample essays that the students will score. Now, be aware that the scores of each of these essays is buried at the bottom of the document. So if you print these out, make sure to leave out those pages so your students don't have them. Now, one more thing before we move on, and this is very important. Make sure that you're using DBQs that conform to the most recent format. Your chosen DBQ should have 7 documents and ideally, although not necessarily, have a prompt that begins with evaluate the extent to which. That is the most current format, and if you see a DBQ with more than 7 documents, do not use it. If you see a DBQ asking students to write a synthesis paragraph, do not use it. If you see a DBQ that has a rubric with 9 points for the sake of all that is good and beautiful in this world, do not use it. That is not how the students will be assessed this year or any year into the future, and so it might just be confusing to them. And you can't really edit the existing DBQs to fit with the new format because remember, the provided sample essays will be in the old format too. So when you go searching for your essays and rubrics, just make sure you get the samples from 2018 to the present and nothing before that, because that's when the new rubric was introduced. Okay, so that's what you need to do to prep them. Now, during class time, I organize their desks into small groups, usually 5 to 6 students, but you know, you do you, boo. And then I give them 15 minutes to read and annotate the documents. And once that's over, I stand at the board and we brainstorm. Okay, what kinds of events might work for contextualization on this topic? And then I scribble up the answers. And what might work for outside evidence and why? And then I keep scribbling. What themes did you find among these documents and what possible groupings do do you see? And I just fill the board with all of this. And if any corrections need to be made, I make them. Or even better, sometimes another student will make them. But at the end of about 30 minutes, we have read the document and we've brainstormed a lot of material that could make for a good essay. And then it is time to score. Now, on a practical note, there is a consistent pattern to any of these samples that you will download. There will be 3 samples. The first is always the highest scoring essay, the second is the middle, and then the third is the lowest scoring essay. So what I do with my students is I always give them the middle essay first, but I don't tell them the official score. This is usually the hardest one for them to score, and the numbers they award usually vary pretty widely. So then I give them individually an appropriate amount of time to read and score the essay, and they're allowed to consult with their table if there's a point they're not sure about or if there's a piece of content in the essay that they don't know. Then after they score it, they have to come to a consensus among their group about the final score. And after that's over, I ask the final scores and I write them on the board. And again, these will usually range from like 1 to 6, and that's part of the fun. So then I ask each group to justify their score. Like for example, I'll call on that group and say, you didn't award the point for contextualization. Why not? What was lacking? And as they articulate it, you'll be amazed at how they're learning the skills just by struggling to figure out why they awarded the point or did not award the point. Then here's where it gets saucy. By this point, they're invested and it almost has become a competition to see which group got the score right. Then I reveal what the official score was and the class either cheers or throws up their hands in exasperation. And then I tell them, okay, look, you guys didn't award the point for contextualization, but the AP readers did, and they are furious. How did that earn contextualization? And then you get to explain it to them. Okay, you guys awarded a point for evidence beyond the documents, but the AP readers did not, and here's why. Here's what's missing. Okay, now once we've gone through all of that on that essay, then I give them the lowest scoring essay, and usually there's a little more uniformity in scores there. And then last, I give them the highest scoring essay, and again, there's usually some uniformity there. And look, although it sounds on the surface like a really dry activity, all right, class, today we're going to score sample DBQ essay responses. In reality, this is a ton of fun, and students come out of that activity with a couple of things. First, they have learned to evaluate the skills of the DBQ in a much deeper way. And then second, they've learned about a topic in the curriculum at the same time. What could be better than that? Okay, thanks for watching. If you run this in your classroom, drop me a comment here and let me know how it goes. And if you want to have a look at my AP World and APUSH teacher resources, then those are linked in the description. Go ahead and subscribe if you want more videos like this one. HEIMLER out.